What is up, everybody? Welcome to Mount MoGraph. In today's video, it's a little special. For one, it's the second video I'm putting up today, and secondly, it's cool. And I guess there's a third point too. It's because I hit 1,000 subscribers today, and that was pretty awesome. I never really expected anybody to look at my videos or even get a cool comment or a like on them. So I appreciate all of you guys for just supporting this channel. I'm doing it for fun, and part of what makes it fun is hearing from you guys and answering questions, and just it's like a little community, for lack of a better words, and I think it's awesome. And so anybody who checks out these videos, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you're learning something, because it's awesome. Motion graphics is all about sharing in my book. So I think this is a pretty awesome effect. This is called, I'm going to call it shape layer fusion, and it is a super awesome technique. This is also I'm going to call it a motion graphic secret, of just creating this super smooth and slick looking animation. It's not very difficult. You can do a lot of stuff with it, basically. These little white explosions here. Have you seen anything like that in other videos? It's kind of in anime stuff, and it always looks like someone hand drew it. Well, you can actually make it using this effect. If basically use these techniques in this video, and you can make some really cool stuff. It's just cool, and yeah, I'm sharing it with you guys. Just so you guys can learn something awesome. Basically, I think this is a super cool effect. It took me a while to figure out. I was playing around forever and finally got this together. And I think it's really awesome. So I hope you guys like it. And yeah, let's jump into After Effects and make shape layer fusion on Mount MoGraph. Alright, so now that we're in After Effects, let's open up a new composition. Do Command N on your keyboard. I'm going to set my my length or duration for 10 seconds. I'm going to set it up to 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to call this base, and this is going to be our base animation, and you will see why in a second. So let's see, what we're going to do is I'm going to keep this color as my background, just because it works fine. So if you want to, you can also create your own solid. Just do Command Y on your keyboard, or right click and go to New Solid, and just pick a light yellow. You can also use whatever colors you want, but for this video, I think it will make sense to do it like this. So what we're going to be using is a whole bunch of different little techniques to make this happen, and I think it's going to turn out really cool. So this should also be a quick video, so this is doubly awesome. So grab a rectangle, and we're gonna draw a rectangle. Just draw it wherever, maybe over here or something is fine. And I'm gonna be using my move anchor point as usual. And let's change this color to a what color did I have here? A green. I'm just gonna try to remake the video for you guys. Let's see. So I'm gonna pick kind of this cool green, and that is all set. So I'm gonna call this green. And I'm going to duplicate this layer, Command D on your keyboard in your timeline, and I'm going to call this one blue. I know it's not blue yet. That is something we're going to be changing in just a second. So we'll go up into your fill with your blue layer selected, and let's pick a blue color. So I'm going to pick a kind of lighter blue. That looks good to me. And now let's go and create two more objects. We're going to go and press Q on our keyboard to cycle through your primitive tools, and just drag a circle. Holding Shift, drag that out to create a circle. And I'm going to make this circle a red color, which actually color works perfectly. So I'm going to put my anchor point in the middle of my object, just so it's easy to move around our scene. I'm also going to center it in our composition. And then I am going to call this red circle on our timeline, duplicate this layer, and I will be calling this one purple circle. So drag your purple circle over to the other side of these two lines here, and we are going to now change our purple circle to an actual purple color, so that it makes sense. So you can make any color just for this video. It's cool to have a lot of bright, childish colors. I think it's going to look cool. Alright, so now that we have this set up, let's start our animation. And this is all going to come together in a really cool way after we have this base animation out of the way. So grab your red circle and press P on your keyboard to bring up your position properties. Create a keyframe, and we're just going to go forward. This is a slower animation, at least the one we'll be doing right now. So the keyframes are just going to be very basic easy ease. And I'm going to set another keyframe at 5 seconds on our timeline. Highlight both of them and press F9 on your keyboard to create a easy ease keyframes. So nothing's happening because I set 2 keyframes in the same position. So go to your second keyframe on your timeline and just drag this over to roughly where the purple circle is. So now when we play it, it's going to pass through the green and pass through the red and wind up exactly on the purple. So as it's coming up to the purple, we're going to want to do 2 things. Basically, as soon as it starts to touch, like right here, we're going to select the red circle and the purple circle and press S on your keyboard to bring up your scale properties. And we're going to go forward to now where the red circle is part of the purple circle, if this makes sense. And we are going to scale this up maybe to just a little bit, to like 117 instead of 100. So select those keyframes on your keyboard and do F9 to create easy ease. So F9. And now let's play our animation. So remember, this is going to be slow right now, but it's all going to come together at the end. So it kind of hits and it gets a little bit bigger. We actually might want to scale that up just a little bit more. So select your scale properties and let's turn it up to 133, just so it's a noticeable change. So it goes in and well, it's still pretty subtle, but it happens and that's fine. Okay, so now that we have that set up, let's animate our green rectangle. So select your green and do Command P on your keyboard to bring up your puppet tools, or you can just click your puppet tool icon right up here. I have my mesh selection set because I personally just like to see the mesh we're making. My expansion set to 2 and 450 triangles just so it is a higher quality deformation or deformation. So I'm going to put a pin at the top, a pin at the bottom, and 1 pin in the middle of our green layer. Alright, so select your green layer and press U on your keyboard, and as you can see, we have created these keyframes right here. So basically, scroll through with your time indicator until the red circle starts to hit your green rectangle, and just move the keyframes that we just created with our puppet tool, or puppet pins, to this position. So as the circle goes through, roughly when it is almost all the way passed through, we're going to want to grab our middle pin. So just unselect all your pins and select the middle pin. It'll turn yellow if you've selected it, and just bend it to about there. Okay, that looks good. And now we're going to select our previous keyframe for our position property for that pin, because we only changed 1. And basically move forward a little bit on your timeline and do just Command F or paste it back in place. So now as it hits, it's going to kind of swing back into place. And I'm going to make this easy ease, of course. So just press F9 on your keyboard. And this is going to look really nice at the end of this. So it kind of swings back into place. You know what would actually be cool is if we go into our time line. Let me see if this will work. Actually, I don't think it will. I had an idea and it might not work as well as I'd hoped. Copy. I'm just going to try this for you guys real quick. So let's paste our keyframe, this duplicated keyframe at the end. And I'm going to actually try to give it a little like rubber swing back. So it's going to go through. No, that's not going to look good. You can spend some time with the graph editor and give it kind of like a bounce back into place. But yeah, let's just keep this video nice, short, and concise. So let's go and select our blue shape layer and do Command P on your keyboard to bring up your pin tool or puppet tool, sorry. And let's create some keyframes exactly like we did on the green. And this time I was smart and actually created my keyframes right when the red circle is approaching our other object. So as it is almost passed through, so about there, I am going to grab my mesh and just reposition my puppet pin about there, and now grab my pin, move it forward a bit, and just paste it back in place. Select those keyframes and press F9 on your keyboard. Okay, so now let's take a look at our animation. As it plays, it looks like it kind of swings through the green and pushes through the blue and arrives at the purple, which gets slightly larger, almost not even noticeable. So this looks pretty good. Now let's create 2 more elements and we will be all set. So what we're going to want to do is press Q on your keyboard to cycle through your properties until you get to a square, and select a fill color of kind of a lightish yellow. I think would look good. Let's see. It's actually not good. Let's make this an orange. I think that'll look better. I'm once again keeping with a lighter color scheme. So center your anchor point in the middle of this object. I'm going to center it in my composition as well, and I'm going to call this squares. So what we're going to do with our squares is just scale them down a little bit. I scaled mine to 70%, or you can just make yours this size however you want. Twirl down your selections and go to the contents, select your rectangle 1 properties, go into your add selection or extra properties, and click repeater. Twirl down your repeater effects and twirl down your transform repeater options, and go into your position properties and change this to 0. Now we're going to be creating, let's go 6. So in your rectangle 1, or your repeater properties of rectangle 1, enter 6 for the copies. We won't see any changes quite yet. And also in your rotation, we're going to do 360 degrees. Actually, no, don't do that. I apologize. Let's go into our rectangle path, and we are just going to, where do we want to go for this? Sorry, I need to make my timeline a little bit bigger. We are going to go to, is this right? What the heck? Oh, here we go. Sorry, so under your rotation settings, let's just turn it to something random for right now until you get kind of like the star effect. And now we should be able to drag our position. Okay, that's what we want. So basically go into your rotation segments, and we're just going to turn this down. I want almost a half circle. So I'm going to be turning mine to 35, or I can do 180, which is half of 360 divided by 6. Which is the number of copies we have, and press enter, and that is actually going to be 30. So I'm now going to also go into our rotation properties of our actual rectangle and just turn it so it's closer to half of the circle. Okay, so now we are going to turn our position down to, mine's going to be 44. So let's go forward to where it first, the red circle is almost into the purple, and we are going to position this this orange square explosion thing that it's going to become right at the beginning of this, and keyframe your position of your rectangle 1 properties. On your keyboard, do Alt back bracket, and that is going to cut our layer right. So basically it's not going to be there, and as soon as the red layer is over there, it's going to appear. We're going to go forward to a couple seconds. I'm going to go to 7, and I'm just going to turn my position up. So I'm going to turn my position up to about here. It looks like it's coming out of the frame a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to select those properties and press F9 on my keyboard to easy ease these. And now let's change one other thing. We're going to halfway through this. So once it's about this far away from the circle, let's create a size keyframe. And now let's go forward to where we set our other keyframe and just scale this down to about 19 will do. And now create easy ease keyframes, F9 on your keyboard. And now we're going to add one more element, and we will be all set for the cool stuff. So we're almost there. Let's create another rectangle and just drag it out into your scene. I'm going to make this one a bright yellow or a crayon yellow. This one looks good. Put my anchor point in the middle of my object, and I'm going to drag this over to my my purple circle. So now drag back in your timeline till the orange is just starting to come out from behind, well, what's going to be behind our purple, so about here, and press S on your keyboard to bring up your scale properties. Unclick your constrained proportions icon and just scale it down so it's sitting inside of the purple circle, and set a keyframe. Also on your keyboard, do Alt back bracket to cut our layer, just so it's not there until then. And then as this comes out, I am going to basically, as the orange squares are disappearing, let's scale our rectangle up, and then we're going to have it slowly slide back in. So then I'm going to have it go to 0. All right. So now I'm going to select my keyframes on that and press F9 on my keyboard. And now I'm going to grab my, oops, let me name this, yellow bar. I'm going to drag my yellow bar and my orange squares behind all my layers. So now when they pop out, they actually come from exactly behind our object, as you can see. So this looks pretty cool for right now. Now what we're going to want to do is create a new adjustment layer. So just right click in your timeline or go up into your menu bar and select effect. But I'm going to do new and go to adjustment layer, and I'm going to call this layer effects. So let's go into our effects and presets option, and we're going to be adding one effect to this. So type in turbulent, and we're going to grab a turbulent displace, the turbulent displace, and place this on your adjustment layer that we have called effects. So immediately we're going to get some crazy looking changes, and this looks pretty awful. So let's turn our amount down to something more reasonable. So basically turn it down until you like the amount of waves that are in this, and that'll do great. Leave everything else the same, and your evolution is what we're going to be adding a very small expression to in order for it to change over time. So as you can see, when I rotate this, we get some changes to our composition. So I am going to actually reset that real quick because that just messed stuff up. I'm going to actually maybe turn this down to 10. I like the amount of 10 a lot better for me. So select your evolution, and holding Option on your keyboard, click the stopwatch to create a new expression. And all we're going to do is type in time asterisk for multiply, and we're going to do let's say 200, and that's going to multiply our evolution by the time of our composition. So as it's playing, it's being multiplied, and we should see some effects. Actually, I might even turn this up more. I'm going to turn this up to 18 maybe, and we'll see what we're getting. Okay, so we have some very crazy looking animation going on, and that is going to be good for this composition. So now let's go into our project and select your base composition and just drag it into your composition button. And that is going to put our base composition into a new composition, and we're going to call this one, we're going to call this fusion. So now that we're in our fusion layer, select your base comp, and we're going to scale this down to something like 60%. So that looks pretty good. And let's see, I'm going to double click my hand tool to center my composition, just make it a little bit easier to see. Select your base layer and type in drop shadow, or just drop would do, and drag your drop shadow onto your base. And we are going to, I just like this style, I think it looks cool. I'm going to drag my distance out to 62, and I'm going to turn my opacity down to 20%, and we get this nice cartoony shadow going. Let's grab another effect, and we're going to type in simple, and we're going to grab the simple choker. And this is where all the magic happens for this video. Let's grab our simple choker and actually put it above our drop shadow. And nothing's going to happen, but if you turn your choke mat up, we're going to notice some changes happening to our composition. So as I turn this number up, our shapes are getting a little distorted and rounded out. So now when we play it, the simple choker is going to, whenever objects get close to each other, it's going to try to choke them together or morph them together in our case. So as you play this animation, you start to get this really, really cool looking effect where everything's like liquidy and fuses together. And I just think it looks awesome. So how crazy is that? That is the big secret for today. And I think I have one more thing to show you guys. I'm also going to put motion blur on, so I'm going to enable motion blur and add it to our base layer, and also go into our base and select a motion blur for all my layers except for the top adjustment layer, and now go into my fusion layer, press 0 on my keyboard to do a RAM preview, and this is just going to add a little bit of blur to everything and really smooth it out. This is also only playing back at half resolution, so if you put it up to full resolution to render out, it would look much better. So this is looking pretty cool. We're going to add 2 more effects and this video will be all set, and you guys hopefully have learned something really cool that you can put into your own videos, because I think this effect looks really cool. Let's see. So yeah, these are all good. Let's go into our base composition, and we are going to create a new circle, so our ellipse, and just holding shift to drag it out, and we're going to select a white color, press OK on your keyboard, and just center this the anchor point in the middle of your composition. On your keyboard, press Shift Command N to create a new mask. Go into your mask properties, twirl down Mask 1 properties, click your shape layer, and we're going to go reset to an ellipse. Press OK. So now our mask path is now a circle. Let's go into our mask expansion and turn this down to, well, mine is going to be -226. So move it forward until right when your red circle is almost past the point of being the green, and put your keyframe for 0 on your expansion there, and then we are going to turn this up all the way, so that's going to be to 7 for me. Select your Mask 1 properties and do Command D on your keyboard to duplicate this layer, and now set this one to subtract, and select your 2 keyframes and move them forward maybe 2 frames on your timeline. So now as it plays, we're going to get this little ring. I'm actually going to move this forward even another one, and let's add easy ease to this to just smooth everything out a little bit for this video. So it's going to hit. So I'm actually going to want this to come in earlier, I think. Okay, and now I'm going to grab this. I'm going to call this what should I call this? Explosion, I guess. And I'm drag my explosion layer behind my red circle layer, and now when it plays, we should get a little ring that pops out. And I might even grab my explosion layer and just scale it up so it's a little bigger, and press U on your keyboard to bring up your properties, and just give it a little bit more time. So I moved this subtraction expansion back a little bit just so it's slower to happen. So that looks pretty good. Let's duplicate this explosion layer. Command D on your keyboard. Press U to bring up your keyframe properties, and we are just going to select them and drag them over a little bit. Select your explosion layer and just reposition this close to where the red circle is. And now go back into your fusion composition, and we should see our changes. So there we go. So that, my friends, is how you create shape layer fusion inside After Effects, and I think it's a really awesome organic looking effect that is a lot of fun to play around with. And obviously it looks liquidy, it looks smooth, it looks a little childish because of my color scheme, but yeah, I hope you guys have some fun with this. This was a fun video to put together. Like I said, it took me a little bit to figure this effect out, so I'd appreciate it if you drop me a comment or like this video or anything at all. Share it if you want with friends. And yeah, I appreciate all you guys, and thanks for checking out my stuff. And as always, get your learn on, guys. I will see you later.